Fame is a fragile currency. In Hollywood, it buys everything until it buys too much. One day the world calls your name in lights, the next it whispers it in pity. Power, desire, ego, and the relentless hunger for attention. These forces build empires and then quietly destroy them. The fall of a star isn't just a scandal. It is a reflection of something deeper, the human cost of living for applause. Because in the world of fame, redemption is rare and reputation fades faster than film. Tonight, we revisit 10 actors who had everything until everything slipped away. Number 1. Charlie Sheen, the star who set himself on fire. For years, Charlie Sheen was television's highest paid actor, his charm magnetic, his timing razor sharp. But behind the laughter of Two and a Half Men burned a self-destructive blaze. The excess wasn't rumor, it was ritual. Hollywood watched as the man who embodied success dismantled it in real time, turning confession into spectacle and madness into a brand. At the height of his fame, Sheen's on-screen alter ego mirrored his own appetites. Champagne mornings, reckless nights, and a defiant belief that fame could forgive anything. The audience adored the rebellion until it crossed the line from performance to breakdown. When his feud with showrunner Chuck Lorre erupted in the year 2011, Sheen became his own tabloid headline. His interviews blurred into surreal theater. Winning became both catchphrase and epitaph. CBS fired him. Two and a Half Men continued, but its heartbeat was gone. Sheen tried to recover with anger management, yet the charm had curdled into fatigue. What once looked like confidence now felt like chaos. Then came the revelation, his HIV diagnosis, the confessions of addiction, the reckoning with the silence that fame had demanded. Sheen's downfall wasn't a single crash, but a slow televised erosion of self. The empire he built on laughter collapsed under the weight of its own excess. In the end, Charlie Sheen didn't lose to Hollywood. He lost to the illusion that fire could keep him warm forever. Number 2. Johnny Depp, the pirate who lost his compass. He was the face of rebellion, enigmatic, magnetic, untamed. From Edward Scissorhands to Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp redefined the modern movie star. But when fame blurred into infamy, the man who once vanished into characters became consumed by one. Public trials and private chaos turned Hollywood's beloved outsider into its most controversial figure. For decades, Depp was a chameleon, an actor who transformed every role into poetry. His partnership with director Tim Burton made him an icon of eccentricity, a performer who thrived on the strange and misunderstood. But behind the artistry grew an empire of excess. The fame he once avoided now followed him everywhere, through headlines, lawsuits, and whispers of turmoil. His long public feud with his former partner became more than a legal battle. It became theatre. Every detail dissected, every word amplified, until the man behind the myth disappeared beneath the noise. Studios distanced themselves. Franchises faltered. The pirate without a compass had lost his way. And yet, in the ashes of spectacle, a question remained. Was he the villain, or simply another casualty of Hollywood's hunger for heroes to destroy? Johnny Depp's downfall wasn't a single scandal. It was the slow erosion of wonder. The man who gave life to outsiders became one himself, stranded between truth, performance, and the wreckage of fame. Number 3. Mel Gibson, the patriot who turned his sword on himself. Once a symbol of cinematic valor, from Braveheart to The Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson's fall came not from the screen, but from the words he spoke off it. Rage, prejudice, and public outbursts erased decades of earned respect. The man who once preached redemption found himself pleading for it. In the 1990s, Gibson stood among Hollywood's elite, handsome, articulate, capable of blending brute strength with quiet conviction. He was a filmmaker of purpose, a performer of rare gravity. But the same intensity that fueled his art ignited his undoing. When recordings surfaced of his drunken tirades and hateful remarks, the image shattered. The hero of moral epics had become the villain of his own story. The industry recoiled, projects disappeared, former collaborators distanced themselves. For nearly a decade, Gibson's name carried a shadow heavier than scandal. It carried disappointment. His attempts at contrition were met with skepticism, his exile almost absolute. Yet time, as it often does, softened the edges. With Hacksaw Ridge, he quietly re-entered the fold, directing instead of acting, letting the work speak where words had failed. It was both an apology and a confession, a recognition that redemption in Hollywood must be earned through silence and sweat. Mel Gibson's downfall remains one of cinema's great ironies, a man obsessed with salvation, forced to seek it for himself. His greatest battle was never on screen, it was with his own reflection. Number 4. Armie Hammer, the heir who fell from grace. He seemed destined for greatness, handsome, articulate, and born into privilege. With The Social Network and Call Me By Your Name, he embodied refinement with an edge. But behind the image, darkness brewed. When shocking allegations surfaced, the illusion shattered, leaving a career in ruins and a man exiled from the world that once embraced him. Armie Hammer's rise was swift, almost regal. He carried the confidence of old Hollywood, tall, composed, effortlessly charming. His performances hinted at complexity beneath perfection, the kind of restraint that turns actors into legends. But fame for Hammer was built on a fragile foundation. When private messages and accusations came to light, his carefully crafted persona imploded overnight. Roles vanished, agents withdrew, and the studios that once courted him erased his name from posters and scripts. The downfall was immediate, amplified by social media's relentless appetite for scandal. What followed was exile, professional, personal, and spiritual. Hammer retreated from the spotlight, his silence echoing louder than denial. Whether guilty or misunderstood, his image became irreversible damage. His story isn't one of crime or conviction, it is one of collapse. A symbol of how quickly admiration can curdle into condemnation, and how power, when taken for granted, becomes its own undoing. Armie Hammer's fall wasn't written in a courtroom, it was written in the loss of trust, the currency no actor can live without. Number 5. Kevin Spacey, the master of control who lost his own. He built a career on restraint, on characters who concealed danger beneath calm. Then life mirrored art. Accusations surfaced, careers froze, and the man once hailed as the heir to cinematic greatness vanished into exile. In a town obsessed with image, Spacey's undoing wasn't just scandal, it was revelation. For decades, Kevin Spacey was the embodiment of control. From The Usual Suspects to American Beauty, he commanded attention with precision and quiet menace. He wasn't just an actor, he was a craftsman. Every pause, every glance, every silence carried weight. But the persona that thrived on mystery soon became a liability. In the year 2017, when allegations of sexual misconduct surfaced, the facade collapsed overnight. Studios cut ties, projects halted, and his role in House of Cards, the very series that resurrected his fame, was rewritten to erase him entirely. His reputation, once built on discipline, became defined by disgrace. Spacey retreated into silence, releasing cryptic videos and denials that blurred the line between confession and performance. Courtrooms replaced red carpets, his audience became a jury of millions. The tragedy of Kevin Spacey lies not just in what he lost, but in what he revealed. That power, when abused, corrodes from within. He mastered control on screen, but in life, control mastered him. The performance ended, not with applause, but with absence. Number 6. Brendan Fraser, the hero Hollywood forgot. He swung through jungles, battled mummies, and smiled like the industry's golden sun. But behind the action hero facade was a man crushed by physical pain, personal trauma, and a system that chews up its own. For years, Fraser disappeared, until the world realized what it had lost. His fall wasn't born of scandal, but of neglect, a quieter kind of ruin. In the late 1990s, Brendan Fraser was everywhere. He had the charisma of a classic movie star and the warmth of someone who never quite believed the hype. Yet behind the laughter of George of the Jungle and the spectacle of The Mummy, his body was breaking. Years of stunt work left him, injured, surgeries stacking one after another. Then came emotional wounds. Fraser later spoke of being sexually assaulted by a powerful Hollywood figure, an experience that left him humiliated, silenced, and ostracized. As others thrived, he faded. His once vibrant presence was replaced by whispers of irrelevance. But the story didn't end there. When The Whale premiered decades later, audiences saw not a comeback, but a return of soul. Tears replaced applause, empathy replaced irony. Brendan Fraser's fall revealed how quietly Hollywood discards its wounded. His return reminded it that gentleness is its own form of strength. He was never forgotten, only waiting to be seen again. Number 7. Mickey Rourke, the fighter who couldn't stop fighting. Once a matinee idol, Rourke traded film sets for boxing rings and burned every bridge behind him. His rebellion was real, raw, bloody, and uncompromising. When he tried to return, Hollywood had moved on. His face bore the scars of both surgeries and regret, reminders of a war fought entirely with himself. In the 1980s, Mickey Rourke was magnetic, equal parts danger and desire. Films like 9.5 Weeks and Angel Heart made him the embodiment of smouldering intensity. But Rourke never wanted to play by the rules. He clashed with directors, rejected conformity, and chased authenticity even when it cost him everything. Frustrated by fame, he left acting to pursue professional boxing, a decision that shattered his face and nearly ended his life. Surgeries followed, each one erasing a little more of the man who once captivated the camera. By the time he tried to return, the Hollywood that once adored him had closed its doors. Then came The Wrestler, his haunting resurrection. The role mirrored his own life, broken, bruised, still swinging. Audiences wept because they saw the truth. Mickey Rourke wasn't acting, he was surviving. He never stopped fighting, even when the battle was with himself. And in that endless struggle, he found a kind of redemption, brutal, imperfect, and real. Number 8. Shia LaBeouf, the prodigy, who imploded on purpose. He began as the kid everyone rooted for, but fame turned into experiment. Shia blurred the line between art and breakdown, arrests, outbursts, performance pieces that seemed more like cries for help than creation. Each stunt asked a single question: how far can a star fall before he disappears into his own mythology? Shia LaBeouf's journey from Even Stevens to Transformers was a masterclass in transformation, an actor evolving before our eyes. But the same intensity that made him fearless on screen became volatile in life. He didn't just perform, he provoked. From drunken altercations to erratic livestream projects, his art became indistinguishable from his unraveling. LaBeouf called it performance. The world called it collapse. His I Am Sorry installation, where he sat silently as strangers confronted him, felt less like art and more like confession. Allegations, lawsuits, and public breakdowns followed, and Hollywood began to turn away. Yet beneath the chaos was a desperate search for truth. Directors like Andrea Arnold and pieces like Honey Boy hinted at a wounded genius trying to rewrite his own origin story. Shia LaBeouf's implosion wasn't accidental, it was deliberate, a rebellion against the machine that created him. He set himself on fire to prove he was real, and in doing so, became both artist and arsonist of his own legacy. Number 9. Wesley Snipes, the blade dulled by pride. He was action royalty, cool, commanding, unstoppable. But when the Internal Revenue Service came calling, Snipes' defiance turned cinematic ambition into courtroom reality. Tax evasion charges led to prison time, and by the time he emerged, Hollywood's spotlight had shifted. His fall was a reminder: even the sharpest blade can rust. In the 1990s, Wesley Snipes was untouchable. New Jack City, White Men Can't Jump, and Blade turned him into a symbol of power and precision, a leading man who redefined cool for a new generation. But behind the charisma was a growing mistrust of the system that made him. When his refusal to pay millions in taxes turned into a legal standoff, his confidence hardened into defiance. In the year 2008, Snipes was sentenced to federal prison. The image of the vampire-slaying icon replaced by a mugshot was jarring, a hero reduced to a cautionary tale. 3 years later, he returned to a world that had moved on. His comeback attempts were met with nostalgia rather than opportunity. Yet beneath the surface, the discipline that once built his career remained. Snipes' story isn't about guilt alone, it's about pride, the belief that success can rewrite the rules. But even within that fall lies quiet resilience. He once played a man who hunted darkness. In the end, he had to face his own. And though the blade dulled, it never truly broke. Number 10. Val Kilmer, the perfectionist who couldn't save himself. Gifted, beautiful, and impossible, Val Kilmer embodied the myth of the tortured artist. From Top Gun to The Doors, his brilliance was undeniable, but so was his volatility. Directors called him difficult, peers called him distant. When the roles vanished, so did the illusion. Only years later would the world rediscover the quiet truth behind the chaos, a man searching for grace. Kilmer's pursuit of perfection bordered on obsession. He transformed himself for every role, disappearing into his characters with near spiritual intensity. But that same devotion made him combustible. On set, clashes became legend. Hollywood grew wary of his genius and his temperament. His refusal to compromise cost him roles, friends, and the ease of belonging in an industry that values compliance over conviction. As blockbusters faded, so did the calls. Then came illness, a battle with throat cancer that stole his voice, but not his spirit. In his documentary Val, audiences finally saw the man behind the myth, reflective, fragile, grateful. The arrogance that once alienated others had melted into humility and acceptance. Kilmer's legacy isn't defined by difficulty, it's defined by depth. He chased truth at any cost, and though that pursuit cost him nearly everything, it gave him peace in the end. Val Kilmer didn't conquer Hollywood, he outgrew it, and in doing so, became timeless. Fame promises immortality, yet it withers under its own light. Behind every red carpet smile lies exhaustion, pride, or quiet despair. These actors once ruled the screen, but their falls remind us that brilliance and ruin often share the same stage. Hollywood doesn't just create legends, it exposes them. The applause fades, the lights dim, and what remains is truth, that success without peace is only another kind of prison. Some of these names found redemption, others disappeared into silence. But each story leaves the same echo, a warning and a reflection. If this journey resonated with you, leave a like to honor their stories, and share in the comments which one stayed with you the most. And if you believe in stories that look beyond fame, subscribe for more. Because every legend, no matter how bright, casts a shadow worth remembering.